Morning, all.
Whoa. Oh my God. We're dropping.
How's it going? So, new week. Here we are, stream number 2. And I didn't have time to prep anything, so we're going to do Codewars. This weekend was intense. Yeah. So let's do some Codewars and we can prep stuff. And if people have suggestions about certain katas they want to try or things they want to talk about, I'm open to it. Let's get going here. All right, so, oh, good. I have it all set up straight. Here we go. I have my Codewars open here. Hi to whoever's watching. And let's see. My brain is barely working today, so let's go find some nice, easy ones to start with, yeah? Here we go. So in case anybody's not familiar with Codewars, I always like to go over to the left and click Kata. That brings you to this screen where you can filter and search and do a lot more narrowing down so that you're not just getting the kata that Codewars suggests to you. Hey Yolanda, thanks for tuning in. Okay, so let's see. Oh man, it is 10 in the morning and I feel like I've been awake for like a century already. I had my second shot Sunday afternoon in the middle of it almost ended up being a 9-hour crash course for our coding boot camp. So 9 hours with a nice little break in the middle to go get a vaccine. And then yesterday, was that yesterday? What day is this? Oh, yesterday was Monday. The boys didn't have school. I have 2 young boys. They didn't have school, so they were home with me. Luckily, I didn't get a big reaction to the second vaccine. I felt like a little tired, but I always feel tired. So, but it was a long day. It was hot out. We played, doing group work on a project right now, which is its own challenge. And I'm just tired, you guys. Like last night, I ended up going to bed at 10 because I was just so exhausted. And then this morning I woke up, I had to get everything ready. I had to push stuff for the group project. And I had to go to the eye doctor. And now here I am, going to do some Codewars. I'm going to do some that I've done before. It is what it is. I don't feel like thinking that much. So, I'm going to be practicing using... How was everybody's weekend, by the way? I'm going to practice using the prep method for answering these because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Let's see here. What's this one? Maybe I'll do an array one, actually. We're supposed to be focusing on arrays in our boot camp this week. We're doing array challenges, we're doing array readings, we're watching array videos, basically eating, sleeping, dreaming arrays. Yeah, that 9-hour review was intense. I set myself up in the garage for it, and it actually worked out really well. The garage was nice and cool, and there's no windows or anything in our garage. Like, it's a garage. It's not like a fancy, like a hanging out garage. It's a garage. It's a dirty garage. Anyway, I set up a desk in there, and it was nice. It was cool in the morning, and then in the afternoon it started to get warm. But I set up my box fan in the garage, and it worked out really well. And I actually managed to focus really well in there. So I'm tempted to work in the garage, like at least a couple of days a week. I don't know. We'll see. The main reason I was in the garage was because I needed to hide from the kids, because it was on a Sunday, so they were home. So my husband watched the kids, but if I'm anywhere in the vicinity, they'll just come to me. They'll just ignore him. So, hence the garage. Okay, let's see here. 1s and 0s, some of the first ends, odd or even. Oh, I kind of remember this one's being fun. Let's see. Okay, so like always, I'm just going to click past the screen. I'll just read the description on the next screen. All right, it says odd or even. This is a level 7. Level 8 are the easiest in general on Codewars, and level 1 is the hardest. So go for the lower levels. Higher number is a lower level. Anyway, this is a 7, so it's just a step up from the lowest. Odd or even. Task. Given a list of integers, determine whether the sum of its elements is odd or even. Give your answer as a string matching odd or even. If the input array is empty, consider it as 0, an array with a 0. Okay, so I think this is screaming for me to use reduce, and then I'm going to check if the reduce is odd or even. But we are showing our work. Pretend I didn't say that. In a job interview, I would not do that. Okay, so just to go over the prep method, I like to say write and prep because otherwise I'll forget the writing part. Write and prep. Okay, is this a Codewars challenge? It is. This is the level 7 kata called odd or even, and I've done this one before. It's been a while. I don't remember when I did it, but my brain is, it is what it is. We're doing this one. And I'm going to try to do it using the prep method, which is a technique for talking your way through a whiteboarding or technical interview and not just sitting there and like typing or drawing and ignoring your interviewer, because that's not going to do you any good. So, okay, odd or even, basically I'm going to get an array of numbers. I need to say whether the sum of its elements is odd or even. Okay, so if I was in an interview, they would not be giving me this as, we'll assume that they're not giving me it as a written thing. They're just saying it to me, right? So like the interview is like, oh yeah, I'm going to give you a list of integers and you need to determine whether the sum of its elements, odd or even. Oh, okay. So I'm going to be doing some just role playing. Okay, do you mind if I just write that down quick? Oh, no problem. Okay, so given a list of integers, determine if sum is odd or even. Okay, so that's the right part, because the worst thing that could happen well, I guess there are worse things that could happen. One of the worst things that could happen in a technical interview would be for you to get a really complicated problem, work on it for 10-15 minutes, and then forget what the question was. So just write it down. My interviewers and stuff. Yeah, they're a jerk now. All right, so you always want to write down the problem. So the next step is the first P. That stands for parameters. Obviously, you wouldn't actually say that and write that out in an interview, but just for the sake of this. So parameters, I'm going to ask questions to try to determine exactly what I'm going to be given, if there's anything I need to look out for as far as edge cases, anything that might throw me for a loop that I'm not expecting. So, okay, so the list of integers, is that going to be an array? Yes. Oh, great. Okay, it's going to be oh, okay, I can't watch. I can't even do this. Array of numbers. Okay, is it going to be a one-dimensional array? Like, do I need to worry about nested arrays? No, it's going to be one-dimensional. Awesome. Okay. And will I ever have an empty array? Yes, you could. Oh. And what do you expect to happen if it's an empty array? Oh, I want you to return 0. Okay, great. Or I want you to imagine it was a 0. Okay. Imagine was 0. Okay. And you would just ask questions like that. Obviously, this is a level 7. It's not designed to be super tricky. You know, it's supposed to be pretty straightforward. So there's not really any other questions I can think of right now. I don't know if any of you can think of any good questions for the interviewer for parameters, but I'll start moving on. And then R is for returns. So you want to make sure that you're returning exactly what they want in the way that they want. So you're going to ask questions. Okay, so you want me to return whether the sum of the elements is even or odd. Do you want that as a string? Do you want it in a sentence? Is there a certain format? I would like just a lowercase word saying even or odd. Or, so you're going to do that. You know, because sometimes they might want it as a string. They might want something as an array. It might be a Boolean. Maybe you're returning true or false for something, but they don't want it as a Boolean. They want it as a string of that, right? So you want to ask, hey, not much, what's up? Welcome, Count. We're just practicing prep. All right, E is for examples. Our teacher in our boot camp, which I still am a bad streamer, I haven't set up things, but if someone wants to share a link, I think you guys can share a link if you want to share a link to Leon's Twitch. Basically, our teacher teaches us that in a tech interview, if you're doing this prep method, which you should be doing, When you get to the examples portion, you should write down at least 3 examples. There's a couple of reasons for this, which we've talked about last stream, but I'll tell you guys today too. The first reason is by doing examples, you're making sure that you understand the problem and you're setting yourself up for the right strategy, right? Like you understand what they're going to give you and what you're going to give out, and it's right. The second reason you give examples is because it gets them saying yes. You're not going to throw out an example that you think is going to be wrong. You're going to throw out an example that you think is right, and you're going to say, would this be the right thing? Yes. So they're saying yes, they're looking at you. They're saying yes, they're looking at you, right? You want them to give you a job. And another kind of reason is, say something happens and you get to the end and you're all proud of your work and they're like, oh, but that's not what I wanted. Worst case, you're like, oh, ooh, that's a bit awkward. The examples here seemed like that's what you wanted. So it's kind of like your receipts, right? So hopefully that won't happen, but here we go. Thanks, Robodom. Okay, so yeah, that's Leon's Twitch channel. That's basically our classroom. We're in a completely free, no charge ever, nothing like that, no paywall boot camp on Twitch, and classes meet Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6:30 to 9:30 Eastern, 3:30 to 6:30 Pacific. Feel free to check it out. Okay, so examples. So I'm going to put up 3 examples. So, let's see. If I, for example, gave you 1, 0, 1, and 5, or if you gave me 0, 1, and 5, I would return even. Is that right? Yes, because they would add up to an even number. Thanks, Bob. Okay, and I'm just looking at the examples here, you guys, on Codewars, just because I don't feel like thinking of new ones. And if they gave 0, 1, and I'll make up a new one, 4, I'm going to be returning odd. Is that correct? Yes. And if they gave me, I don't know, just 0, right, or just empty, I'll be returning even, correct? Because I'm treating it as a 0. Yes, that's correct. Okay, so those are my 3 examples. Yeah, it's a great community. We have a very active Discord. We have a group of us that are starting to do streams more regularly. And yeah, it's a great community. Okay, the last P is pseudocode. And this is a very hard part for me because I tend to just look at it and say, oh, just do it. But nope, you got to write it out in plain English what you're going to do. So, pseudocode. I'm going to take in an array. I'm going to add the elements of the array. I'm going to check if the sum is odd or even. Return appropriate string. Do you need a basic understanding of JSD Codewars challenges? So it doesn't necessarily have to be JavaScript, but you do need to have a basic understanding of some sort of coding language. They have over 50 languages that they support. I mean, there's a lot. But you can't just go in only knowing, HTML and CSS. You need to know at least some sort of programming language. That's a good question. Yeah. Yeah, and some of the languages are easier to do, right? Like JavaScript's one of the easier ones to get the hang of, because you don't need to be a JavaScript master to get started on here. You just need to know the basic syntax, the basic, things available to you. And then Python is another one that people really like. Yeah. Yeah, so do your HTML and CSS fundamentals, and then, if you've been doing those for a few weeks and you can copy layouts of websites, I'd say you're ready to move on to JavaScript. But yeah, once you have a fair, you can understand how to create variables, change variables, you have a general understanding of how to work with arrays, you could get started on the level 8 Codewars. And then obviously as you learn more methods, the Codewars become easier. But when I started this, all of my solutions were for loops. Everything was for loops and if statements. And half of the time they still are for loops and if statements, even though there's methods that do it better. So you don't need to be really good to start, but yeah, great question. Okay, so I've done my write. I've done prep. I am finally ready to start writing code. So I'm actually just going to scroll up because here they've already started it for you. So odd or even, you're going to take an array. I like to change that to R. Array with a lowercase a, we found out last stream, is not a reserved word, so you could call your variable array with a lowercase a. but I just think it's kind of a fuzzy area because array with a capital A is a reserved term. I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to get anywhere near that. I like sounding like a pirate, so R is a really great name for my parameter. So, R. Okay, I'm going to go through R, and I'm thinking I'm going to use reduce. So you could do R.reduce. It's going to take, all right, so basically what I just wrote is the reduce method, it takes in 2 arguments. There's an accumulator and a current value. And I'm using the arrow syntax, arrow function syntax. You could, write it out with curly cues and all that, but I'm just doing it a quick and dirty way. Oh, hey, Jennifer. Yeah, so basically what it does is it goes through an array, item by item. So say it was going through the 0, 1, 5. It just adds them all to each other, or it reduces them. So I'm using a plus here, so that's saying it's going to be adding them. But you could, you can have it multiply through, you can have it do all kinds of stuff. But I'm going to have it add through. I do want to set a value, a beginning value for my accumulator, so I'm going to put a 0 there. You can put a comma and then a 0. I'm doing that because you do not have to do that. If you did not put that 0 there, right, if you just left it like this, what would happen is it would use your first element in your array. Oh, good, I'm not in the way. You could use your first element in the array, like this 0 here would be what they use as the accumulator, and then they would actually start adding from here. Okay, it would just use the first one. But I'm hoping that by putting the 0 and setting that, did I accidentally hit? Yep, I hit. I hate that insert button. Has anybody ever actually enjoyed the insert button on their keyboard? Or is it, I think it's just an evil button. Anyway, by putting that 0, I'm hoping that it will solve this empty array situation. I don't know though. I don't know if you can use reduce on an empty array. I know I could probably Google it, but I'm just going to give it a go, see what happens. Yeah, I don't think so, but so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to console log this just for now, just to see what we have going here. Okay. Yeah, everything's wrong because remember, I'm not returning anything, and also I have to return the string even or odd. Because, oh, you're saying no about the insert button? Yeah. I mean, what actually is the purpose of the insert button? Like, what scenario would one use the insert button? Like, truly, I truly don't know. I've never had a scenario where I'm like, you know what I would really love is a button where everything I type replaces the stuff that's already there. Like, if anyone actually knows, like, the real situation where people use that, I would love to hear it. Because I hate that button. Like, I hate it. Anyway, so I got logs. I did this console.log because I was hoping to see if the empty array thing would work. Why is this showing my doc? Go away, doc. Go away. Ah, what have I done? Okay. I don't know why it's showing the doc at the bottom there. That's driving me nuts. But anyway, how do I, okay, Mac people, somebody help me. Why is this here? I can't get rid of it. Well, I'll just move my screen up like that. I don't know if you could see. Oh, you guys can't see. I have it cut off. So the dock bar at the bottom of your screen, like down here, for whatever reason, mine is stuck up. And usually it only shows when I'm hovering over it. And right now it's stuck up and I couldn't see the test button. Whatever, I made my screen smaller. It worked out. Okay, so now I'm testing and I'm seeing, oh good, look, so here in this example, they inputted an empty array and the reduce made it 0. So the reduce does work. The reduce does work with an empty array if I put that 0 initial value there. So that's cool. Maybe click the green button on the top left. Oh yeah, no. I mean, that's to make it full screen button, right? I don't know. Yeah, it's working well enough. I'm going to leave it. I don't dare touch anything. I'm going to like shut down stream or something. I'm just going to leave it. But anyway, okay, so it's working as expected. So empty array problem is solved. So now all I need to do is get rid of this. Now remember, they want us to determine if the sum is odd or even. Right now oh, that C is still there. Right now we are determining the sum, right? That's what our reduce is doing. It's summing up the items in the array. It's doing 0 plus 1 plus 5. So I'm getting the number 6, but they don't care about the number 6. They just care if the number 6 is even. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a ternary. So I'm going to say the sum, right? Array.reduce. You know, in fact, let's write it all out. So we're going to say let sum equal this, okay? And then we'll make it prettier in a second. So the sum is equal to, so say 6, right? For this example, 0 plus 1 plus 5 is 6. So, and I'm going to return, is the sum modulo 2, so that means is there any remainder? Is the sum modulo 2, wow. Okay, this is kind of a fun one. I'm going to do something and then okay, is the sum modulo 2, we'll say 1. Okay, so if is it odd? I'll return odd. Okay, and if it's not that, okay, this colon in a ternary statement is like not. So in a ternary, like this is kind of the if, right? So like it's like this thing, like this is how I read ternaries in my head. It's like this thing that I'm testing, and then this is like the first thing, and then the colon. Anything after colon is okay. That's my very technical way of reading ternary statements. You're welcome. Okay, so the sum, I'm like, the sum modulo 2 is 1. It is, it's odd. Oh, it's not, it's even. Now, here's a fun thing you can do. Because of truthy and falsy things in JavaScript, and I think this is true for some other languages too, but I'm going to say I could just do that. I can get rid of the equal is equal to 1, because basically what this is saying is sum modulo 2. Does it have a truthy value? Which 1 is a truthy value. 0 is falsy. Okay, 0 is false. So I'm just saying sum modulo 2, is that like a truthy thing? Yeah, it's odd. Or no, it's even. Okay, does anyone have any questions about that? That's kind of a fun thing. I mean, it doesn't hurt to put, like that doesn't hurt to keep the 1 in there, but it's kind of, it'll give you a little bit more, you know, solutions page cred. You'll be like, oh, yeah, all right, yeah, I knew that. If you leave the equals out. So let's test it. All right, so cool. We passed all the tests. We haven't done an attempt yet, but we passed all the tests. Yeah, it's kind of fun to know, right? Like you don't, it's, you know, it's one of those kind of show-offy things, I think. Like a lot of people like to flex on Codewars on the answer page. Okay, so another thing we can do now, we can get rid of this console log. We don't need to have sum as its own thing. We can have this whole thing here, right here. Okay, so here, just in the return statement, I'm saying return the sum, okay? Return the sum. Is it modulo 2? Is it truthy? Meaning, is it anything but 0? Yes, it's odd, otherwise it's even. Okay, well, let's see. Be funny if it didn't work, right? There you go, so it passes. So we got rid of a variable that we didn't really need. Okay, and then we can make ourselves into those people on Codewars, and we could try, I think we can do a whole arrow function here. I think we can make the whole thing an arrow function and just be that person. Just because it's sometimes fun to be that person. I don't, for the record, I think the answer we had a minute ago was the best answer. Like that's what I would say is the best answer. But just for kicks, let's try to make it into a one-line answer. Yeah, it is full of wizards. The answer page, like I'll have like a 20-line answer and it'll be like 1 line. I'm like, thanks guys. That's a whole rant. Check out my last stream if you want to hear that rant. Okay, so here I turned it into an arrow function. Let's see, this is not right. Arrow function const, odd, or even. All right, let me think. I'm going to have give me guys a minute, you guys. I'm forgetting how arrow functions work. It's because I'm having a nested arrow function here, and I'm wondering if I have to, yeah, I think I can just do it like this. Yeah, because I only have one parameter, so I don't need to put this in parentheses. All right, let's see. Yeah, okay. I had a bit of a moment there. I don't know if my brain, like, because I had this arrow function within it, I don't know. My brain stopped working for a second there. But look, it's a one-liner. We're that guy. I don't like that guy, but we're that guy. Okay, so when you do the test, it only runs a small test suite. And then when you hit submit, it runs a lot more. Like you'll see, I passed 135. So that's our one-line answer. It was nice to meet you. Come to the next stream. Come to the next stream, Robo. It was cool seeing you hang out. Okay, so we're submitting it. And there you go. Oh, see, all right, so this is the answer that I had before I turned it into that arrow answer, this best answer, where I kept as a regular function. And I had the reduce here, so sum modulo 2, odd, even, right? And then, yeah, then the number 3 voted is the like jerk move answer where it's all an arrow function. And, like, it doesn't need to be, right? It just doesn't need to be. That's, like, I agree that this is the best answer up here. Half the time I don't agree with what they say is the best answer, but this time I actually do. So I'll give it a vote. But yeah, okay, so that's that one. Fun times. Let's do another one. Let's see. Oh, I want to choose arrays first, actually. Gotta click 7 again. Okay, I will sort by most completed because most completed is actually the, in my opinion, sorting by easiest to hardest. Easiest is a lie. That is definitely not the easiest. Most completed might not be the easiest either, but it's a lot closer to a real ranking of easiest to hardest than easiest is. I don't know why the easiest thing is like that, but yeah, I did this one earlier this week. I had the equals 0, but I like the mod 2. Yeah. The first time I did it with the ternary, I had the sum modulo 2 equals 0, and then I had even colon odd. And then when I saw the answer without the equals and the odd and even, I'm like, oh, that's clever. That's clever. I don't remember if it was this exact one or a different one, but I do like that trick. I think it's very interesting. So, okay. So most completed 7Q array methods. Or array tagged katas. All right, Jaden, I don't like that one. Like, I want to give it a down vote. I just don't like that one. Let's see. 2 oldest ages. We could try that one. That might be fun. If anyone has, Jennifer, a list of katas that they would like to work on Jennifer, please send it to me on the Discord. Because I would love that. Jennifer. I keep saying Jennifer because she promised me a list of level 8 Qs that she wanted to work on, and she has not delivered. But it's okay. Okay, 2 oldest ages. Let's start. Here we go. The 2 oldest ages function method needs to be completed. It should take an array of numbers as its argument and return the 2 highest numbers within the array. The return value should be an array in format of second oldest age and then oldest age. Yeah, that Jaden one, I first tried it months ago, and I couldn't even begin to do it. And then I tried it again a couple months ago, a month ago. Yeah, I totally called her out. A couple months ago, and I don't know. I don't know what it is about the one that I don't like. I don't like it. It's harder than it should be. I don't like it. Anyway, this one, 2 oldest ages. So I have to return an array of second oldest age, oldest age. The order of the numbers passed in could be in any order. The array will always include at least 2 items. That's good. I don't ever have to worry about having less than 2 items. If there are 2 or more oldest age, then return both of them in the array format. If there are 2 or more oldest age. Then return both of them in the array oldest. So is that saying, that's a bit ambiguous. Okay. Sometimes the wording of the descriptions throws me for a loop. Since this is a 7Q, I'm going to assume it's going to be on the more obvious end. So here they're saying if 2 or more oldest, so I think what they're saying is, say in this array here, this 2 oldest ages, if it was 1, 2, 10, 10, 8, I think they're saying I would return an array of 10, 10. But it also kind of sounds like maybe I would have to return 8, 10, 10, because there's 2 of the oldest age, but then there's 1 of the second oldest age. So I'm going to assume it's just the final 2. If that finds out if it's not true, then we'll deal with it. But okay, so we're going to do prep. So write and prep. Okay, so okay, I'm going to talk to my interviewer again. Hey, interviewer. Thank you for this challenge. Do you mind if I write it down quick? No problem. Okay, so given array of ages, return 2 oldest ages in array format. Okay, so first P, parameters. This is where you ask questions about what they're going to be giving you to make sure that you're handling all the data types they might be sending, you're handling all the edge cases they might be sending, all that fun stuff. Okay, so you're going to give me an array of ages. Are the ages going to be a number type? Yes, they'll all be number types. Oh, awesome, awesome. And this array of ages, is it a one-dimensional array? Do I have to worry about nested arrays? Nah, you're cool. It's a single dimensional. Awesome, sweet. And let's see, what else could we ask about? Are any of these ages going to be extremely large numbers that I need to worry about reaching the edge cases of regular math and JavaScript? Nah, cool, cool. I can't really think of any other questions for parameters. If you guys think of any, let me know. But all right, next is returns. This is where you're asking questions about what they want you to give them at the end, what you're returning. Don't make assumptions, right? A lot of the whole purpose of this prep method is to, I guess there's 3 reasons. Number 1, it keeps you talking to your interviewer so you're not like, like ignoring them the whole time, because that would be terrible. And number 2, it makes sure that you understand what they're asking of you. By going through these questions, you're going to be revealing things that you might not have thought of, right? You're going to be getting things clarified. And then the 3rd reason, I forgot, but I bet it was a good one. It's a good method. Use it, right, in prep. So, returns. Okay, so I'm going to ask them about returns. Okay, so you want me to return the 2 oldest ages. What format would you like that in? I'd like it in the format of array, please. And he already told me that, and I forgot. Okay, return an array. And is there a particular order you want the 2 oldest ages in the... No, yeah, 10 minutes of silence in an interview would be like torture. Yeah, it would not be good. You probably wouldn't be getting a call back. Is there a particular order you would like the answers in that array? Yes, I would like the second oldest age first, and then the oldest age. Oh, okay, so second oldest. And what about situations in which, what if there are 2 people that share the oldest age? I want you to return both of those. Okay, return both if same. Now, if this was a real interview and not a Codewars, I mean, questions I would be having would be, do you still want the second oldest person too? So like, do you want the 2 that share the oldest age and then the second oldest? What if there were 3 people that shared the same oldest age? Would you want all 3 of them or just 2 of them? So there's more questions, right? In the parameters, I forgot to ask about small arrays. I mean, I know it says over here that it's going to be at least 2 items, but I'll put this here. So you're asking questions, right? You're trying to see as much as you can. You're trying to find out in advance things that might trip you up as you start coding. That's the purpose of the parameters and returns questions. Okay, E is for examples. feel like I should be like, give me an E, give me an R. Okay, examples. In prep, they recommend doing 3 examples. You are going to write these down. You're not just going to say them. If you are in a virtual interview like this, you would write them down. If you're on a whiteboard, in the corner of the whiteboard, you will write it down. So, examples. I'm just going to use some of these examples that they have here. So, okay, just copy that. All right, this would return, let's see, it would return 4587. Okay, another example. This would return 45, oh, that's that one. It should return 18 and 83. And then I'll just make up one. 1, 3, 5, 5, 2. It's a bunch of kids. This would return, if I'm reading this right, it would return 5, 5. That's debatable though. Okay. Final P is for parameters. Or no, it's not. That was a test. It's for pseudocode. Pseudocode. Pseudocode is basically what you're going to do in plain English before you start writing out actual code. You're just going to plan out what you're going to do, and you're going to say it or write it down as you go. So, pseudocode. I'm going to take in an array of numbers. I'm going to sort the values in that array by, I'm going to do it by descending age. And I'm going to return the first 2 values, first 2 values in that sorted array as an array. Okay, that's my pseudocode. It's not pretty, but it is what it is. All right, so up here, let's just move all this down. Okay, so they gave me function 2 oldest ages with parameter ages. Just a quick note about Codewars. You can change the names of your parameters in Codewars. You don't have to use, like I could use A, I could use anything I wanted for my parameter. What you absolutely cannot change is you cannot change the function name, because all of the tests in Codewars are being run based on that function name. You also can't change the number of parameters. Like I couldn't add another parameter if it had 4 parameters, I couldn't take one away, because then the tests aren't going to work, because all the tests are written with a certain function with a certain number of parameters. So if you, like in the last one where I changed array to R, you can do that because it's not really changing anything meaningful, but you cannot change the function name. Like I couldn't change this to array of 2 oldest ages, right? So just a heads up. Anyway, pseudocode. All right, I'm going to take in an array of numbers. Boom, done. I'm going to sort the values in that array by descending age. So I'm going to use sort. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do B minus A. Usually when you're sorting, you would do A minus B, and that sorts in ascending value. I'm just taking a guess here that B minus A will sort it in descending value. We'll see. And I want to return, so let's call this, let's see. I'll just do the short way. Okay, I want to return, no, let's do it. All right. Okay, so here, I'm going to do console.log ages and see if, just to check if it's sorted. It's taking a long time. Okay, so look, it looks like it sorted them in descending order, right? Because originally it was 1, 5, 87, 45, 8, 8. 87, 45, 8, 8, 5, 1. So, excellent. My B minus A sort did exactly what I thought it would. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to return, I have to return an array. An array with 2 elements. This has to be the first element in this array, and this has to be the second. So I'm just going to do array ages of 0 and ages of 1. And I'm going to test it. Excuse me, you guys. Okay, let's see. Past values should equal, oh, yeah, I forgot I sorted it. You got me, Codewars. Because I did sort by reverse and they want it unreversed, if that makes sense. They want the second oldest first and then the oldest. So, okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to return, so what it did was it made it into, here, I will write it all out. We had an array 1, 5, 87, 45, 8, 8. Once I sorted it, it became this. It became 87, 45, 8, 8, 5, 1. They wanted the second highest value and then the highest value. So I did return ages at index 1, that's 45, that's the second highest, and return ages at index 0 is 87. And I put those both in an array right there. There. Okay, let's do a full attempt and see what happens. I need to head out. Oh, it was good to see you, Count. See you later. Yeah, I know, that was a lot of reading. I feel like the array section reading was a lot longer than the string one was. All right, Lay, we passed. Woohoo! All right, go ahead and submit. Got another one down. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Always make sure to hit submit on your Codewars. I know a lot of people, when they first start Codewars, they forget to hit that. They do the attempt or even just the test, and I think they did it, and they're like, why isn't it showing up as completed? It's because you didn't technically complete it. You have to hit submit. All right, let's see the top voted answers here. Okay, so here, somebody's using slice. So here they're sorting. Okay, so they're doing a sort, and they kept it, so they kept it ascending, and they're just slicing off the last two elements in the ascending one. That's very clever. I like that a lot. That's very clever. I like that better than my answer. Okay, so see what they're doing here is you have your array of numbers, they're sorting it ascending, they're making the numbers go up. So if the ages were 1, 5, 8, 8, 45, 87, they're making it 1, 5, 8, 8, 45, 87, right? And then they're saying, okay, whatever is in the last two indices is going to be the oldest and the second oldest, so I'm just going to slice those off and return that. So you're returning 45 and 87. And it's already in the format of an array because you're just slicing. So that's a beautiful answer. I like that answer. Very, very good, very good. I like that a lot. Cool. All right. Awesome. All right, we can do another one here. Let's see. Oh, I always forget to click. You want to click the tag before you click your kata level, because when you click the tag, for whatever reason, it resets it to all the levels. Just a fun tip, but I never remember to do it. Okay, I have an array, 7Q. All right, let's sort by most completed, and let's try to do one that I've never seen before. I don't remember that last one that I just did because I hadn't redone that one in a while, but let's see one I've never done. All right, get key value pairs as arrays, counting array elements, head, tail, init, and last, simple consecutive pairs, minimize sum of array, counting power sets, array. Oof. Let's try counting array elements. That sounds hopefully like something doable live. Okay. Counting array elements. Write a function that takes an array and counts the number of each unique element present. So I'm returning an object. Okay. Okay. I will do this one later. I don't think I want to do that one right now, though, because I'd really rather do a full array one. I'm going to be honest, like, objects, I understand what they are, they're key value pairs and stuff, but I'm very comfortable with arrays. I'm very comfortable with strings, but objects, I'm not on that level. I mean, I do stuff with them, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not all about them. Array element parody. Let's see what this is. Let's see. Codewars likes to load slowly. Does it load really slowly for other people too? Like I could not be streaming right now and it would still be that slow. Array element parity. In this kata, you will be given an array of integers whose elements have both a negative and a positive value. Array of integers, yes, okay. Who have positive and negative integers. Why couldn't you just say you'd be given an array of positive and negative integers? Oh, okay, this is why. Except one integer that is either only negative or only positive. Your task will be to find that integer. Okay, so you'll see here, they have 1 and negative 1, 2, and negative 2 and 3. So the answer would be 3 because it does not have a matching one. Here is 4 for the same reason, and 3. Okay, this sounds like basically, this almost sounds too good to be true. I feel like I can just do a reduce on the array and return whatever that number is, because whatever that number is going to be the value. Because if you're adding negative 1 and 1, that's 0, negative 2 and 2 is 0, and whatever you're adding, this is like the easiest one ever. But we will do prep. We'll prep this out. Hey Nick, welcome. All right, we're gonna prep this one out, even though this seems like it's gonna be the easiest Codewars ever. Like it should be a 8. Okay, write and prep, write and prep, write and prep. Okay, my interviewer is gonna ask me a question. I'm going to give you an array of integers. Its elements will have both negative and positive values, except for one integer will only be negative or positive. Your task will be to find that odd integer out. Okay. Do you mind if I write that down? No, no problem. Okay, so I'm going to be given an array of integers. We'll have elements with positive and negative values. Only one will have solely a pos or negative. Return that number. Okay. Yeah. Here, you can see. Okay, and so first step of write and prep is you're going to write it down. You don't want to forget it. Okay, first P is for parameters. You got it. I knew you yelled it out. Okay, so parameters. Okay, so you're going to be giving me an array of integers, and will the array ever be empty? Nah, all right, never empty. Will the integers be large enough or small enough that I need to start worrying about, you know, the nature of math and JavaScript and numbers? Nah, normal size. Okay. I can't really think of any other questions for the parameters because they told me that it was going to be an array of integers with positive and negative. Like in the question, they told me a lot about it. Bye, Yolanda. Yeah. Okay, so parameters. All right, returns. Okay, so you want me to return the number that is the only one that doesn't have its matching positive or negative. Yes. And how would you like me to return this number? Just the number as a format number, a string? How would you like it? Just the number's good. All right, that's cool. Okay, so just the number that's left out. Okay, and then E is for examples. Okay, so an example would be, I'm just going to copy these examples just for the sake of time, but in a real interview, you would want to take the time to actually come up with at least 3 examples and write them down just to make sure that you're covering your bases, you're understanding what's going on, you're getting them saying yes, all that good stuff. Okay, so just copying down a couple of these examples, and then we can get started. I guess I could have asked if the array is going to be sorted at all. For the answer I'm thinking of, it really doesn't matter, but I could have asked just for kicks. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. Okay, and the last P is pseudocode. I know it doesn't sound like a P, but it is a P. Pseudocode. Okay, so this is where you would write out in plain English what you're about to code, right? It's basically your thought process of how you're going to solve it. Okay, so I would say something like, you're giving me an array of positive numbers and negative numbers. There's only one that's an odd one out. So to my mind, if I added all the values in the array, all the ones with matches would cancel each other out, and the only value left would be the one I'm looking for. So that's what I'm going to do. So how do I write that in pseudocode? Pseudocode is not my strong suit. This is the whole reason I have this stream, is for me to practice talking and to practice doing pseudocode. So, and to hang out with you all, but mostly to practice. Okay, so pseudocode. I'm going to take an array of integers. I will sum all the values in the array, and I will return the sum value because it's the odd one out. That's terrible pseudocode, but that's, I don't know. You know, I feel, it's kind of a funny thing. I feel like I should be doing level 6s on stream so that I could really work through prep, but I just don't feel comfortable enough doing one. Maybe, I mean, give me another week or so. Maybe I'll start feeling more comfortable doing these live to where I can do a level 6 where I'm going to mess up. I mean, everybody messes up, right? Like, that's Codewars. You mess up 1,000 times. But yeah, because prep is a lot more valuable with harder problems. But anyway, so take in an array of integers. Boom, done. And they wrote R. That's my favorite. Okay, I'm going to sum the values in the array. So I'm going to do array.reduce A and C. I'm going to do A plus C. Basically, this means this is my accumulator. This is my current value. It's just adding the current value to the accumulator as I go through. I know that all the values I'm getting are number values, so I don't mind that it's going to start with my first value in the array as the first accumulator. If I wanted to be extra safe, I could do a comma and then 0, and that sets a starting value. But I feel very comfortable keeping it just like this. So that's the sum. Okay, I did all the sum. And then I'm going to return that sum value. So I'm just going to pop a return in front here. See how it looks. We failed one. Okay, so here we go. So expected 3 and instead got 6. Oh, okay. So let's see what happened on that one. That was this one here. 1, -1, 2, -2, 3, 3. Oh, okay. So it's not as easy as all that. Because you see here, I didn't account for something in my questions, in my prep. I did not prep well. You'll see that, here, let me copy this example. Oh, or here it is. Is this it? No, this is it. This is the example. So what happened here is 1 and -1 canceled each other out. 2 and -2 canceled each other out. But then 3, instead of just having 3 by themselves, which is what I had assumed would be the only sort of case, they had 3 twice, but not a -3 and a +3, just a negative. So that makes it more annoying, if I'm being honest. That makes this a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Because I thought that it was going to just sort of cancel each other out. And it's kind of funny because I actually wrote, I mean, I just copy pasted these examples. If I'd actually read them, I would have seen. So, okay, I did mess up. There I go, talking about how I don't want to do level 6s because I'm scared of messing up. I did it. Go me, first try. Okay, so we need to account for multiple appearances of the number that doesn't have its partner. Okay, we're going to need to rethink our approach then. Okay. That's okay. That's okay. Let's figure it out. So, I'm still going to be taking in an array of integers. That's still going to happen. How can I approach this? I could, let me think. If I sorted it, oh, here's what I could do. I could still keep the sum of the values, right? No, that's not good. I was going to say maybe I could have the sum of the values and then divide it by the number of numbers. Divide it by the number of numbers that don't have a match, right? So like I would have 6 divided by 2 because there's 2 3s. But that doesn't work, or it could work, but I'm not keeping track of, you know, how many are canceling out and things like that. So that's not really an approach. Let's see, I could sort it by value. I could sort it, right? So it could be like -2, -1, 1, 2, 3, 3, and go in from each side, right? So if my first element in the array doesn't match the last element of the array, then I know that that last element, that one of them, right, doesn't have a partner, but then I'd have to find the partner. That's not great. I could make some sort of hash table of values I've seen before and compare it there. You know, guys, I really don't know. I don't know the best way to do this. Because if I did that sorting way, let me think. If I sorted it, so if I had it, you know, sorted, right? So I had -1, 1, 2, 3, 3, and I checked, you know, oh, does -2 equal, like, is this going to be 2 over here? And it's not, then I know something is funky with one of these. And I could then go through and figure out what it is. But I think the smarter thing to do would be to just go through the array as it is. So let's see. Say I'm thinking this one out loud, you know. I haven't done this one before. I haven't. This is live, people. All right. So I could start off with the array how it is. I could go to 1. I could say, does array, maybe I could pop it off. Like I could unshift or shift it, right? Like I could, okay, so I could say, you know, like take an element off, right? So I could take off 1, right? So that the array is now -1, blah, 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 blah. So I can say so right now I'm looking at number 1. I can say if the array, sorry, there was a really loud bang here a second ago. Like it shook the house. That was really weird. I do live in Southern California, so shaking of houses is a bit of a concern. Okay, like I could go through and I could say, okay, if I find its match, then pop that off too. No, but see, then that would just get messy very quickly. That would get messy because what if the -1 was like over here? I could sort it and then do that. What if I had it sorted? What if I had it sorted so it was here? Again, thinking out loud, you guys. And keep in mind, I had a long weekend. I had a long morning. I'm just having a long life. So my brain it is what it is. Okay, so if I sorted it, I'm thinking, what if I popped off the last value, right? So I'm taking this 3 off. 3 is what I'm looking at. And then I'm saying, okay, check the array for negative of that value, right? So I'm looking for -3. I'm not finding it, so then I know that that 3 is the value, right? That would work in that case, but what if the array looked like, let's see, what if the array looked like this, right? So that 2 is the odd one out. So say 2 is the odd one out in this case. So 2 is the culprit. I don't know, what is it in what'd you call it? Among Us, 2's the assassin. I'm going to say 2 is sus. Okay, so in this case, 2 would be the sus one, right? So say I popped off 3 though, right? So say I sort it, and then I popped off 3 at the end. And then I say, if you find negative of 3, go ahead and shift that off the front, right? So, okay, I found it, so I'm doing it. Okay, and then I go to the next one. I'm like, 3, if you find, so I got the 3. If you find the 3 at the front, shift it off. All right, I did it. Now I'm on 2. If you find 2 at the front, shift it off. I don't find it, 2 is sus. What do we think of that method? I mean, I feel like there's probably something that's one line that makes a lot more sense, but I could do, okay, so I would sort the array in ascending order, and then I would pop, set, you know, curval to, let's see, this is not Pseudocode. Set current value to last element, or here, okay. So then I would, is it when you're at the end, is that popping? Yes, I would pop last value off and save in curval. And then I would compare curval to first element. If equal, well, if opposite of each other, shift off first element. Again, shift. Yes, right? Because unshift adds things at the front. Shift pushes things away at the front. Pop takes things off at the end, and push. I'm pretty sure shift. I think shift is to remove things from the front, but we'll find out. If someone wants to save me a Google, feel free. All right, if opposite, shift off the first element, and then curval will, and then, so this is a loop. Redo loop. So this is start loop. So I'll start looping through. I'm going to pop it off. If it is equals to the opposite of the first one, I'll shift that off, and then I'll go through the loop again, popping and shifting, etc. So here, if not the opposite, I'm going to return curval because that's my value. Okay, so I'm going through the array. I'm going to sort the array in ascending order. I'm going to start looping. I don't know if I'm going to do a for loop, while loop. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm going to loop. I'm going to pop that last value of the array off, and I'm going to save that value in curval. I'm going to compare curval to the first element of the array. If they are not opposites of each other, meaning the element I just popped off is the sus one, it's the one, I'm going to return that, problem solved. If the first element is in fact my value's opposite, I'm going to shift that off. So now my array has gotten smaller on both ends. And then I'm just going to keep doing it until I find curval. So I guess I could do here while, so I'll probably do while r.length is greater than 0, right? Because I'm just going to keep doing it like that. Okay, I think that's my current pseudocode. We'll see. I don't know. All right, let's take this one up. We can keep this one and its shameful truth for later. Okay, so this is my current pseudocode. Now, hopefully in an interview, I would have asked enough questions that I wouldn't have been all cocky and tried this first one thinking it was the easiest thing. But you never know. Okay, so I'm going to sort the array in ascending order. So r.sort AB, A minus B. That sorts it in ascending order. Okay, I'm going to start a loop. Okay, so while, and I'm going to say while r.length is greater than 0. So while there's something in the array. All right, while r.length equals 0, pop the last value off and save in curval. So I think I can say let curval equal r.pop. Let's console.log curval and r.pop, and curval and r, just to make sure as we're going through here. If we run the test at the end and it's not all green, which chances are it's not all going to be green, that'll help me debug to see if that might be the culprit. Okay, if I'm comparing, compare curval to the first element. So if curval, or if negative curval, right, because I want to compare the opposite, is not equal to r of 0, right? Because here I said if it's not the opposite, so if it's not the opposite, I'm going to return curval. Otherwise, I'm going to do r.shift, Hey, Esther Charles, it's so good to see you. I love hanging out with you in Jennifer's stream, so it's really good to see you here. Thanks, thanks. We are working on Codewars, and I'm doing a level 7 that I haven't done before. And 7 is like one step up from the easiest, so it's still supposed to be pretty easy, but that's debatable. And I was kind of feeling cocky when I read the directions to this one, thinking it was going to be one thing. It was not that. And so now I'm doing an attempt of a new method of solving it. So r.shift, and I'm on a console.log r again, just to make sure I'm doing what I think I'm doing. And then, all right, so let's test this. This could go. Okay. So here, curval is 3, right? Which makes sense. Does that make sense? Yes, because that's this first one where there was just 1 3. Okay, and then, yep, it didn't match that. It was 3. This one, okay. Expected -4 instead got 3. Oh, see, yep, I didn't have that. I didn't have that possibility. Because see what happened here? What happened on the second one? Okay. What happened on the second one is I popped off, well, here. How can I show you? All right, so I sorted, this is what happened in this one. When it was sorted, it became -3, -2, it became -4, -3, -2, -1, 1, 2, 3. Expected, yeah. And so in my current way of doing this, I popped off this 3, right? So curval is now 3. I compared 3 to the element in the first index here, which is -4. And I wrongfully assumed that 3 would be the one without a match. In this case, that is not the case. It is actually -4. Because as you see here, if I had gone one more index in, that's -3. So what I could do here is I could say, if they're not equal, let's check to see if the next value in is equal to it. Because that's going to tell me which number is the sus one, right? Okay, going back to Among Us, right? They were both in the room. Who do we trust, right? So we're going to see. So if -3 or 3 does not equal -4, I'm going to check the next index in. If the next index in also does not match the opposite of my current value, then I know that the current value is the sus. If it does match the opposite of my current value, then I know the index 0 was the sus one. Okay, so our method is still valid. We just didn't think of a certain case. So if they're not opposites of each other, then I want to check if negative curval, so if the opposite of curval is not equal to array of 1, right? So the next index in, then I know that that's the sus. If that's not the case, then I know that the one at 0 was the sus one. They are the assassin. Let's check. There you go. All right, cool. We figured it out. We did it live. All right, let's erase these. Let's put in this one did not work. Too presumptuous. Just in case I'm looking at this like later and I'm like, oh, why didn't you do? No. Okay, so that one doesn't work. So what we're doing here is we are sorting our array in ascending order. While the array has a length, we're going to do the following. We're going to pop off the largest number in the array, the one at the last index. We're going to compare that to the first index to see if they're opposites of each other. If they are opposites of each other, we're getting rid of that first one. The array is now gone in on both ends, and we do the loop again. If they are not opposite of each other, if I have, say, 3 and -4, then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, you're not opposite of each other. Which of you is it? I'm going to check the next number in. If it is not the opposite of this one, then I know that this one is the odd one, right? Because if neither of those are it, one of those had to be it. So that's this one. If it is the opposite, then I know this one. That was terrible. Sorry for having to have you watch that. That didn't... Anyway, but my logic is sound. Let's try it. Yay! Okay, I'm going to copy this. I always push my Codewars solutions. And I didn't push the 2 that I did earlier, but I've done them before, so it's not a big deal, but I don't want to lose this one. Always, once you solve a Codewars, answer this question, because you get an extra point. So, okay, oh my God. I told you, I knew that my head was just not in the right space and that there was going to be an easy answer. Look at this. A, find element doesn't equal A dot includes negative A. Not sure that I understand that one right now. Let's scroll down a little to one that doesn't have it quite so small. Okay. All right, the array. Find in the array the value that the array doesn't include the opposite of it. Okay. That's the quick way, you guys. That's the way that makes sense. But having said that and having seen that, my method did still work and it did have sound logic and I did talk my way through it. I don't know that I would have given myself the job if that had been the question. But I feel okay about my answer. I do. But this one is much better. Basically, they're saying, okay, in that array, find a value where the array doesn't include its opposite, right? Because here's a negative value, and they're saying the array doesn't. So that's what doesn't include its opposite. So find that value. That's actually very clever. What's the complexity on that, though? Because mine has a pretty small complexity. I want to say it's just n. It's not that complex because I'm only looping through it. You know, it's getting smaller. And this one includes is one loop. And find, this one might be more complex, but I don't think so. It might be, though. I'd have to do some reading up on that. But anyway, okay. I think we have time for one more. What do you all think? Let's do one more. Let's do level 8. We'll do a palette cleanser, if you will. Oh, my word. Yeah. Okay, palette cleanser. Here we go. All right. We can do this one. That one's really easy. That one's funny. I don't know. What should we do? Remove. Oh, let's do array. Let's do an array one. We'll do an array level 8, and then I think we'll call it a stream. Just teaching myself JS. Watching streams like this is a great way to learn. Yeah, I love watching streams like this, and I love seeing how other people approach coding problems because, you know, everybody has a different way of looking at it, right? And a different way of solving problems. And the way that I did that last one was messy. I didn't think to use the find method. That was my downfall, or the includes method. But it worked, and it's fun. A huge benefit on Codewars, a huge thing is being able to see other people's solutions after you solve. If you just solve it and then you don't look at the other solutions, you're doing yourself a disservice because looking at the other solutions is really where the value of Codewars comes in. But that was funny, though. I knew there was going to be a one-line solution. I just knew it. Get the mean of an array. Let's do this. Okay. It's the academic year's end. Fateful moment for your school report. The averages must be calculated. All the students come to you and entreat you to calculate their average for them. Easy. You just need to write a script. Return the average of the given array rounded down to its nearest integer. The array will never be empty. All right. Let's see here. Okay. So they've given me a function get average, and there's marks. I feel like this person is from the UK. In the US, you would call it grades, and you wouldn't call it your report. You'd call it your report card. It's kind of fun stuff. I grew up in the UK. Not that you know it to listen to me, but it's kind of funny. Okay, so prep. Let's do this really quick. So given an array, Given an array, return the average rounded down Okay. And parameters, I'm going to be given an array of, well, here I'll ask. What are you giving me? An array. Is it an array of numbers? Yes. Are the numbers all number type? Yes. Is it a one-dimensional array? Yes. Will there be any negative numbers? No. Is it ever going to be an empty array? No, right? So all those questions. You want to ask all those questions for the first P. You want to ask about parameters. You want to ask about what they're going to be giving you. You want to make sure that you understand what they're going to be giving you, right? So that's easy. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So it'll be an array of numbers, never empty, good times. And what do I need to return? So you want the average rounded down. Is the average the mean average? Yes, the mean average. Okay, and you want it rounded down to the nearest whole number. Yes. Okay, so average rounded down to nearest integer. And examples, here are some examples. So here they have, this is kind of a funny one because it's pretty obvious what the average is. It's an array full of the number 2. The average is going to be 2. The next one here is interesting. Let's look at this one a bit. Let me just copy it up here. This one, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but then you'll see they have a comma at the end here. So I'm wondering if that is going to affect the average. So let's see. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 6 is 4, plus 5 is 15, and they are dividing it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're dividing it by 5. So that comma doesn't seem to have affected it because they do say that the average is 3. Okay. And then the final example is a longer one, and the average is 1. In an interview, you want to do prep, you want to do parameters, returns, examples, and pseudocode. You want to do all of these things before you ever write a line of code in an interview. It'll keep you talking, it'll make sure you understand the problem, it'll get your interviewer understanding your thought process. It's good stuff. Okay, so the final P is pseudocode. So I'm going to take in an array. I'm going to sum up the values in the array. I'm going to divide the sum by the length of the array. And I'm going to return that quotient. There's a fun word. Okay, so I've written my pseudocode. I've done my prep. Let's just move this down here. Okay, so to sum the values in the array, let's see. We are going to do a reduce. Marks.reduce. Whoop, you got your accumulator and current value. We're just going to do that. Okay, and then I'm going to divide that sum by the length of the array. So I'm going to get that whole thing, put it in parentheses, and I'm going to divide it by marks.length. Okay? I could have said let sum equal marks.reduce blah blah blah, and then on the next line done marks.length, like done sum divided by marks.length, but why? And I'm going to return that. Oh, I didn't round down. It's going to come up wrong. Oh, and I didn't put my arrow. I did a lot of stuff wrong. Okay, so I want to math.round. So I'm going to do math.floor. Floor will put it down to the next lowest value, the next integer down. It rounds it down. There you go. And attempt. Yay! We did it. I think that was probably the best way to do it. You floor it, you floor the reduce divided by the length. Let's see. There might have been a better way. Nope. That's what everybody did. Excellent. All right. Well, it is almost the end of my stream, but I think I can sneak in another one here. Let's do another one. Did I say arrays? Okay, good. I'm going to do another array method. I don't know. Let's see. This one. Was it Nick that was doing this one the other day? Somebody was doing this one the other day. I was like, oh, I haven't done that one in a while. Let's do this one. Okay, it's a level 8, which in theory is an easier one. I have seen some level 8s that are way harder than some level 7s and even some level 6s, so it's up for debate, but we'll say it's a level 8, it's the easiest. Okay, who remembers back to their time in the schoolyard when girls would take a flower and tear its petals, saying each of the following phrases: a time a petal was torn. I love you, a little, a lot, passionately, madly, not at all. When the last petal was torn, there were cries of excitement, dreams, surging thoughts, and emotions. Your goal in this kata is to determine which phrase the girls would say for a flower of a given number of petals. Okay, so let's do this. So basically, there's these responses that go in order. We don't know how many petals the flower is going to have. We basically need to find out where it's going to land. So we're going to do write and prep. Okay, so write it out. Given a number of petals, return phrase girls would say. And then if I was writing this out and somebody really did just say this, I don't think somebody would just say this to you without having it written down for you already, but I would write down, these ones, but I'm not going to bother because they're right there. Okay, P is parameters. P is for parameters. Okay, so you're going to give me a number of petals. Will the number ever be negative? No, it'll always be positive. All right. Will it always be an integer? Yes, it'll always be an integer. Will it ever be a gigantic number? I need to worry about large numbers and the way it behaves in JavaScript? No. All right, cool. It's a positive integer or of normal size. Okay, the returns. So you would just like me to return a string of only the response that is in this sample over here. Yes. Okay, so we're going to return a string. Is easier? Yes. I never did this. I love you, little, a lot, passion. No, we did. I love you not. I love you. I love you not. I think I heard somewhere that this is a French, like in France, they do the a little, a lot, passionately, but I don't know if that's true. Okay, so return just the string, just the appropriate string. Okay. And examples. Oh, that was, by the way, that was the R return. I don't know if I said that. Okay, so PRE is examples. Here are some examples. They're saying for 7, you're going to return I love you. For 3, you're going to return a lot. For 6, you're going to return not at all. You'll note they didn't capitalize anything. It just is what it is. This 7 one is the most interesting of the examples because it goes through multiple times. So if a petal, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So once they reach the last petal, that's that one. So it looped around. And P is for pseudocode. Pseudocode. There you go. Okay, so in this example, I'm going to take in a number of petals. There are 6 responses. So the way that I am thinking about doing this is I'm going to divide, say I had 7. I know there's only 6 responses, so I'm going to do 7 modulo 6. That's going to give me the remainder, which will basically tell me which of these I will land on, which would be the first one. So that'd be 1. And, so even if there were, say, 43 petals, 43 modulo 6 would be, what, 1, right? Because 42 is divisible, so that would also be I love you, right? So it doesn't matter. It could be like a crazy flower with like a ton of petals. It'll still work. So I'm going to do find remainder when num petals divided by num responses, right? And then I'm going to look up correct phrase and return it. Okay, that's my pseudocode. Again, pseudocode is not my strong suit. Probably not the best person to teach you anything about pseudocode. In fact, if any of you have advice about pseudocode, I would love to hear it. It does not come naturally to me at all. So anyway, okay, so we have our function, how much I love you. They take in NB petals, like number petals, that'll work. Okay, so I'm going to do let rem, like let remainder, equal NB petals modulo, there you are, 6, because there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 responses. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a switch statement. You could do an object and return the property with like a key value of the number, but I'm just going to do a switch statement. So I'm going to do switch rem, so for the value of rem, I'm going to say case, I probably should do an object actually. Let's do an object. Let's do it above it. Const phrases equals, okay. So for the value of 1, we're going to say I love you, 2, a little, 3, a lot, 4. I never think to do the objects on this, like the key value pairs, and I always end up writing a switch statement, and it's just annoying because you have to write case and break a bunch of times, and then I always see in the solutions people, like in problems like this, you know, people will have done the objects. I'm like, ugh, why didn't I think of that? I never think of that. So here I go thinking of it. And not at all. Okay, so then I'm going to return phrases, nope, phrases dot rem. I think dot notation should work. We'll find out. I might have to use bracket notation, but I think dot notation, nope. Nope, yep, that was terrible. That was terrible. All right, let's try this. Rem, is that gonna work? I'm telling you, I'm not an object person. I don't think that's gonna work. Oh, not at all, instead got undefined. Interesting. Which one was this? Okay, so 6 mod 6 should be 0. Oh, maybe I should have done, because, yeah, this should be 0. Because it will never be 6 because I'm always dividing by 6. That should be 0. And I had to use bracket notation. So, there you go. Yay, we passed. Okay, cool. So we didn't want to use 6 because there will never be something modulo 6 that has a remainder of 6. It will be a remainder of 0. That was the first newbie mistake. And the second was I was trying to use dot notation. I wasn't doing it right. Bracket notation was the way I wanted to do it here. So, cool. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, see, like, oh, here, somebody made an array of them. Okay, that's good. An array. How funny. Oh, see, like there, someone did it with the thing. But yeah, an array would have worked, right? Because I could have just done the index. I could have done the remainder minus 1, and that would give me the index. So that would have worked. But I'm still proud of myself. I used an object. I never think to use objects, so I did it. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thank you all for tuning in. I have to go now. I have a lot of group work I'm working on. We have class this afternoon or evening, depending where you are. If you want to join, it's twitch.tv/learnwithleon. It starts at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. I will be there. I help moderate the chat, so that's fun. Otherwise, I will catch you all tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Pacific. I will be streaming again for an hour, and I don't know what I'll be working on. So we'll find out. It'll be fun. Thank you so much for joining, and I will catch you all next time. Bye.